by using setter injection, but with respect to XML configuration, how we are achieving this functionality. So by using a tag, property is a tag, that's fine. But as part of the property, ref attribute, right? So by using ref attribute, what we are doing? We are just passing another bean ID, which we are going to, which dependency you are having, that bean ID, you are passing as part of the ref attribute, right? So that is how we are achieving the setter injection by using ref attribute. So if you see here, yesterday we taken a class called as, so we have two classes yesterday we taken, one is college, one is student. So in this college versus student, which class is depends on which class? Which object is depends on which object? College depends on the student object. So that means as per our dependency injection point of view, so what has to be done? The student has to be injected into college object. So this is what our expectation. This is what should be happen in the dependency injection point of view. And who has to perform all these things? Spring container is going to perform all these things, and Spring container has to do all these things. But container, how it is doing? Is it doing automatically? Okay, we return student here. So inside the college, we return student. So it is going to inject student into college. Is this the approach, or do we need to do any extra activities? Yes, we need to do. Okay, so setter injection point of view, we have to provide setter method mandatorily. And as well as we understood yesterday one more point. To achieve setter injection, what we need as part of class implementation? Default constructor. Okay, now my one more question to you. So you told like default constructor. Now the default constructor should be available in college or student or in both. Why? See, with respect to, now here understand the point. With respect to college or with respect to student, let me take you like this. Student and college. Okay. So here, college depends on the student. So that means what you are doing here, college, depends on the student. So that's why what you are doing, what operation you are choosing here, setter injection. So to do the setter injection, what you need? First we understood like we need a default constructor. Okay, and followed by setter method for what? Setter method of which property? The student property. So here, for example, you given setter method for this student. Okay, sorry, you given setter method for the college name, but you are not given setter method for the student. Then the dependency injection is going to happen with respect to student or not? No. So the setter injection should be presented for whatever the object you are trying to inject. For that property, setter method has to be written. So in this case, student object we are injecting into college level. So that means student setter method should be presented here. To achieve setter injection point of view, student setter method has to be available. So that's why we written that point. Now my question here it is, to achieve setter injection, we need default constructor and setter method of the student property. With respect to student I am talking. So then in such case, why I need default constructor in the student? It's up to student choice. So can you restrict the student? Please maintain the default constructor. Please maintain the parameterizer constructor so that I can get the setter injection. No. So maybe we can create in any another way student object. Today we are going to take only empty bean object. Maybe tomorrow the primitive data types of string we can achieve by using, we can inject by using setters, maybe constructors. It's all decision by the student. But to achieve dependency injection in between college versus student, where you have to maintain must and should the default constructor in college level, because the setter injection is happening in which object? College object, the injection is happening. So if you are taking here, it's a student object. So it's a college object. The injection happening from where to where? Student is injecting into college. So that's finally the injection happening on the college object. So with respect to college, you have to maintain these two properties. You got the point now? So it's up to student choice, but finally student should be bean object. But how it is created? Maybe, for example, see here, I deleted. Okay, so yeah, so I'm deleting all setter getter methods for the student point of view. So now tell me, dependency injection is going to happen or not? So with respect to dependency injection is going to happen or not? Student point of view. So just observe the student logic. Okay. Where it is? Okay. So observe the student logic. What I have? Total 3 properties I have. And what I have? A default constructor I have. Okay. Even though if I am not returning or if I am returning, there will not be much difference. Okay. So in this case, student object will be injected into college or not? Yes. Why? You are saying like we need setter methods inside student also. So no. Here student is up to student choice whether he will maintain 1 parameter constructor, 2 parameters, or maybe multiple setters, or only getters, only setter. It's all about choice of student object. Here student is not depending on the college. College depending on the student. So that's why even though you are maintaining as part of student, whatever you maintain, whatever you are not maintained, only thing is what you have to take care here it is finally somehow you have to make sure student has a bean object. Okay, maybe after taking constructor injection, so you may create student object with some constructor injection. But at the same time, student no need to maintain any setter methods because student is not expecting any injected values. Maybe assume like that. Student is not expecting any injected values. For example, now I want to inject mobile numbers into student. Then you need again setter method. But in this current logic point of view, so whatever the instance variables I have, so what will happen? A bean object will be created student and immediately the values will be initialized with default values. So now with the default value student object, whatever it is there, that will be injected into college object level. So that will be injected into college object level. So in this case, college has to maintain the default constructor as well as setter method of the student. So you got the point now? So you should not say student, please maintain all the setters. It's up to student choice. Now student object want mobile numbers, okay, something like name, ID as part of bean creation, then student will maintain setter methods for these 3 properties. But it's not like student is going to, okay, maintain setter methods for other properties with respect to college. There is no need. So only thing is here you will see 0 followed by null and null in the student object level, and the same student will be injected into college. But at college level, definitely you have to maintain default constructor and as well as one setter method for the student because student has to be injected into college level. So you understood the point internally? Okay, so let's execute this anyway. Okay, if you observe here, so now we given one property tag called as name and value called as Dilip with respect to student bean class and student 1 bean object. But are we maintain setter method for the name? No. So for example, if I'm deleting setter method from the, property tag from the student 1. Now tell me bean injection is going to happen or not? Yes. So with respect to bean object creation of student 1, what will happen? It will go and verify. Okay, first blindly it will create object for the student and with all the default values. And it will observe what are the tags you configured inside the bean. Are we given any tags? No, 0 tags, no property, no constructor, anything. Then it will leave that object as it is and it will give name as student 1. So that's all. Now it will move to the second. It will observe what are the tags you provided here. So we provided what tags? Property tags. So then it will understand like, okay, these guys are expecting these values has to be injected via setter methods. Now it will verify internally. Okay, once it is creating college object, it will try to call 1 by 1 setter method from the which class? College class. Let's call set college name and pass the value. Let's call set student and pass the value of student 1 object what you created here. So whatever you created here, this student object is created or not? Yes, it is created. Only thing is student is having default values of all instance variables and that object is injected into college level. So this is all going to happen internally. So see now, save all the changes. So now everything is injected properly or not? student is created, college is created, setting student in college. So finally, the student object is injected into college. Now, if you are getting student, and one more point yesterday I explained you. So whatever the student object created in the memory, so is it injecting as its, okay, one more copy, or is just referring the location? Yes. So in the college point of view, whatever the property name you taken, so here what it will do is, it will refer the location of actual student object. Okay, it is, this variable is referring what? Referring actual student one bean object. It's not like a copy is maintained as part of here. So that means tomorrow, right now the values are id equal to 0 and name equal to null. Okay, for example, now I made changes. Student1 dot id, set id, I given 200. Okay, student1 dot, so for example, I called student1 bean object dot set id. Okay, in my main method, I called a line like this. I given 200. Now where this value will be updated? Yes, here in this, in the place of id, 200 will be setting. Now whenever you are getting object from the college, so you have college object dot get a student. Okay, so dot get id. So what is the value you will get? Is it 0 or 200? Yes, because the thing is what? Internally it is maintaining the reference of actual location. So whatever the changes happening on the bean object student one, automatically those things are being, okay, reflected or getting in the college level, because it's not maintaining another copy, it's just referring the existing copy. The changes are happening at student one is reflecting at college level also, whatever being injected. You got the point here? So that's what we tested yesterday also. So if you just let me enable that point also. Okay, I don't have getter methods. Let me write down only getter methods, no need of setters. Okay, so I written only getter methods. So just for reading purpose. Now get name. Okay, so what I'm doing here, student dot set name. Okay, we don't have set name, right? Anyway, I'll write down setters also. Okay. So now assume, first of all, it's created with default values only, right? With respect to container point of view, default values. Now you updated, set a student name, something you given ABC. Okay, but where you are doing this operation on? Bean object student one, what you got from the container, and there you are performing the operation. So what is the value here now? ABC will be updated. But the same value, I'm trying to get it from the college dot get student dot get name, the last name line 26. Now what it will be printed? Is it null or ABC? But whenever it is injected, what is the value here? Null. But why you are saying like ABC here? Because it's a reference. The student one object is a reference into college. Whatever operations, whatever the updations are happening on the student one, that will be internally reflected into college point of view also. Just like a reference, that's why you can see same values here also. So you can see same ABC or not? Yes. So is it clear now? So this is all we discussed yesterday also. Now, second point here, how many bean objects can we create for student class? So we can create any number of bean classes, right? So let's do one thing. Yeah, I'm creating one more bean object for the student class. Okay, student 2, and I'm doing properties also I'm giving here. ID. Okay, I have ID, name, and mobile numbers. value equal to some value I'm giving 333 or 3333 and followed by one more property name and followed by value I'm giving. Okay, so some name I'm giving. And the third one is what? Yes, it is a list of mobile numbers. So yeah, mobile numbers and followed by what is the value? Yes, you can use list tag to configure the values. So simply list and followed by value tag and you just provide the values here. Okay, so just now in this case, how many bean objects will be created? 2 bean objects will be created. So with respect to college, now for example, I want to inject student to object inside the college. So what I have to do now? Inside the college object, I have 2 bean objects of student 1 and student 2. So out of 2, I have to inject only 1. We know that point. And I want to inject student 2 into college now. What is the change I have to do now? So in the reference level, if you given student 2, that's all. Now which object will be injected? Student 2 will be injected into college level. Okay, so whether it is true or not, I'm not doing any changes on the college. Okay, leave about the student. So if you see the college, I'm getting college object from the container. And from the college, okay, what I'm doing, get student dot get name. Now tell me what is the value I will get, null or something like Suresh? Suresh, because why internally college object is injected, which value? Student 2. So student 2 is contains this bean object implementation. So here ID is 3333 and name is equal to Suresh. And so you can see the Suresh here now. So what is the name? So here, Suresh. So that means we can switch between one bean object to another bean object. Only thing is what we have to do? We have to change the reference value of respective bean ID, whatever the dependency you are having. You just need to provide that bean ID here. That's all you have to do with respect to multiple bean objects when you are having. So similarly, if I created one more college object, so can I create one more college object? Yes. So if I created one more college object, so for example, I given college 2, and if I given ABC college, okay, here, what is the dependency you are trying to inject? Student object dependency. So if it's up to your choice whether student 1 or student 2, depends on your requirement, you can inject whatever you want. For example, now, in this case, I want to inject student 1 again. So only thing is in the ref attribute, what you have to give? Yes, student 1 you have to give. Now, for example, in the college 2, I removed college name as, okay, I removed property of college name, ABC college value. So any problem you are going to get, nothing will happen. Only thing is, it will be available as null. You are not doing any setter injection for what property? College name property with respect to what? College 2 point of view. But again, college 1 point of view, you are doing setter injection or not? For the college name, yes. Here setter injection will happen with respect to 2 properties. Here setter injection is going to happen for only one property called as student, and internally it is referring again which bean object? The student 1 bean object, whatever you configured here. Okay, so now when you are getting college name from the college, here with respect to what you will see XYZ college. Now when you are getting like college 2 bean object point of view, college name, what is the default value? Null will be available. So like that. So what is the point you have to understand here? It is you should understand the bean configurations or data configurations or the dependency injection, whatever it is, depends on the your project requirement, the current requirement, what you are having. Based on that, you have to configure always XML files or these bean configurations. Okay. Other than that, it's not like, okay, it's a fixed kind of rules we have. We have to follow always all the properties. We have to follow always references or we have to inject everything. No, not like that. It's all about depends on your requirement. For example, if I given a requirement to you, So okay, I will give you that. To achieve this, what is the attribute we used? Ref attribute we have used here. Ref is used as part of which tag? Property tag. And this ref is only works for what data types? Only the classes, whatever you define, predefined classes or user defined classes. For that purpose only we will always use ref. Can we use ref for primitives, wrappers, all these things? No, those are all directly we can use as a value itself. So ref contains what? Ref bean ID of dependency object. So ref attribute will contain always a value of bean ID. So which bean ID? The dependency object. Whatever the dependency you are configuring, that bean ID, that dependency object bean ID, you have to provide as part of the ref attribute. Okay. So this is how the setter injection is going to happen between classes versus classes also. I mean, the data types belongs to user defined classes or maybe predefined classes. You are going to use the dependency injection by using setter injection type. Okay. So let's take a small requirement you can implement on your own. So for example, I given a requirement like this. Define a product information. Okay, define a product information here. Okay. Every product should contain year of expiry as well as every product should contain price. So as part of product information, expiry year, okay, manufacturing year, and as well as name of the product and price of the product, as well as the origin of the product. That means the company who created this product, whatever it is, the company details, and some contact number of the product. So in case any problem, contact as well as a support email ID, email of that product company, whatever it is. So you have to maintain all this information as part of the product information. Okay, these are all the properties. But as part of these properties, what are the values you have to maintain mandatorily? So mandatorily, whether you will provide, okay, manufacturing year as well as name and all, it's not matter for me, but you have to maintain always as part of the bean object for the product. What is the value you have to maintain? Mandatorily, you have to provide year of expiry as well as price of the product. These values should be presented mandatorily. Okay, so this is what. And the remaining properties, it's up to your choice, whether you will configure or not. Maybe it's up to our optional point of view. So now, same thing what I'm going to do here it is, and let's define an order. Order should contains product information as well as order should contain order information, something like order ID and as well as order amount, the total amount, like this. So just it's a small requirement only, small assignment only. Okay, you just take it as think on this requirement perspective, then you will get the solution. Only thing is, I'll try to give you the solution point of view also what you have to do here. So guess what you are going to do? Okay, so do you know this? I given an assignment point of view. Just think what you have to do. Define a product information. So that means you have to write down a class called as product class, and you are going to maintain all these properties. You are going to maintain all these properties. Fine. Now, as part of the product, what is the information you have to maintain? Year of expiry and price should be presented there. Okay, assume this assignment is completely only setter injection only. Okay, so because we are discussing only setter injection point here. Now, that means what is the meaning of these 2 points here? You have to maintain mandatorily 2 property tags in the bean configuration when you are doing for the which class? Product class. Yes. When you are doing the product class configuration in the beans XML file, you have to maintain 2 property tags mandatorily because that's my requirement. That's my requirement. So that's why you have to maintain 2 properties minimum. That is year of expiry, whatever you take in property here, and as well as price. Now, other properties, it's up to your choice. Okay. So then what we will do, you will create one more class called as order class, and order should contain, okay, what is the information like order ID and order amount, and as well as the product amount, whatever you given the product also, the product information. So that means inside the order class, what you will define? A product reference you will define, and you will inject what? Product object into order object. That's all you will see. Student versus college. Only thing is why I given these 2 points here it is, you should get a point here it is, that the logic implementation has to be done always based on a requirement point of view. Okay, it's not like fixed. You have to provide always property tags for all the properties, or you have to leave all the properties. No, depends on your requirement, it will change. Tomorrow, if I'm saying like, okay, sorry, along with this must and should, we have to maintain name of the product also. Then what you will do? You will add one more property tag into beans configuration of product bean. Right? So that is how the things will happen in real-time projects also. Just take this as assignment and try to implement. Okay, let's come back to the constructor injection now. Okay, so as part of dependency injection, how many types we have? 2 types we have when you are going with the XML configuration. So right now we are going only with XML configuration. So first one is setter injection. So second one is constructor injection. So how setter injection is happening now? When you define a class, when you want to achieve setter injection for any property, so what are the rules you have to follow? First and foremost thing is you have to maintain a default constructor of the class. Second point is whatever the values you are trying to inject by using setter injection, for those properties you have to maintain setter methods inside the Java class. And for those setter methods, you have to define property tags in the beans XML file. So whenever it is a primitive data types, how we are passing the values, how we are injecting the values by using value attribute as part of the property tag. And if it is wrappers also, yes, same value you can use string, again value. And when it comes to list of values, what is the way you have to define? Yes, you have to take help of a child tag called as list tag. Inside list again, you have to take one more tag called as value tag. As part of value, you can define the values, whatever the values you want to keep in that list of objects or set of objects like that. If it is map type, we have again map, and inside map entry followed by key and value pair, whatever you have to follow. So set we know, again set they given. Now apart from this, once we are moving to the classes, another class references, then what is the attribute we have? Ref attribute we have to use when you want to inject one object into another object. One object is depending on the another object. So then what is the attribute you have to use? Ref attribute you have to use as part of the property tag. So that means here in the overall process, the setter injection is always defines based on one tag called as property tag. So as part of the property, the things are changing, but property is always representing setter injection. So is that clear? So this is all the summary we understood, and internally what is happening also, we understood how the things are happening internally also. Now let's come back to the constructor injection point of view. What is the constructor injection? Here it is. So just opposite point of view. So the values as of now injected via using setter methods. Now it's all about time to constructor. So that means simple. So here Spring Framework defining constructor injection as, okay, values should be injected via constructors. Via constructors. So as per constructor injection, the values should be injected always by using constructors. So generally when we are writing the Java classes, can we write down the constructors or not for our class? How many constructors we can write down? It might be more than one, right? So when you are having 5 properties, you can write down all parameterized constructor 5 properties or 0 parameters or 1 parameter, maybe 2 parameters, 3 parameters. Like that you can define multiple constructors into your class. So similarly, if I define constructors into my class and the values has to be injected, values has to be injected at the time of object creation. Okay, then again, what is the choice we have? Constructor injection. So Spring Framework is saying if your requirement is demanding, the values should be injected. Values in the sense, even the objects also. So primitive values, string values, maybe list of values, or as well as the other class objects or references also has to be injected at the time of object creation. Then what is the choice we have? Constructor injection we have. So constructor injection is always happened, only works with the constructor's point of view. So the values will be injected at the time of, yes, object creation. So here there is no choice of initializing with default values of the properties, right? So generally in core Java point of view, so when you are writing a class called as, you written a class employee class, and you know that you defined a constructor. So please understand here, I defined a constructor ID comma name comma salary like this. Now whenever you are only one constructor available in the employee class. How many constructors? Only one constructor with 3 parameters. Now tell me, how can you create object for this? Is there any way can we create object like this employee E equal to new employee? Can I create? No. So why? Yeah, there is no default constructor. So that's why even in core Java point of view also, Java point of view also, we can't create object for the employee with the default constructor representation here. Now, for example, if I taken 1 comma delete, okay, leave about the syntaxes, whatever I'm writing. Okay, now can I implement in this way? Can I call? Why? What is the rule here? It expecting how many parameters? 3 parameters, but we passed only 2 parameters. Now, similarly, if I created one more employee object E3, new employee, okay, so I provided delete comma 1 comma salary. Okay, so is it going to work now? The reason is what again? So the types mismatching. You expected integer, okay, assume like integer, string and double. So you given string value first, but it is expecting constructor first parameter should be integer value. So it should be always integer value. So because we define integer comma string comma double. Okay. Okay, let me save it first. Okay, so here you define integer comma like that. So that's why this definition is correct. No, so you will get compiled error. Now, if you created one more employee object, new employee. So now I given values like 100 comma. Okay, so delete and followed by comma, and I given value like this. Now tell me, is it going to create object or not? Yes, this line will be created the objects. So what are the fundamentals we understood from these 4 points, or maybe whatever I written here with respect to our Java language? So you know the rules now with respect to constructor. What are the things you have to follow? You guys are clear, right? So when you are having a default constructor, sorry, only parameterized constructor, can we create object like this? No, you cannot create object like this. Fine. So there is no way of creating object like this. Now similarly, why? No 2 parameterized constructor. If I want to execute this line, in case if I want to execute this line, what I have to do in the employee class level now? Yes, you have to define one more constructor with a, yes, constructor with two parameters point of view. That is called as ID comma name, right? So you have to define a constructor with two parameters, ID comma name. For example, if you want to execute this logic also, then what is the change you have to do? Yes, you have to define a default constructor. So zero parameterized constructor, right? So the zero params will be called as what? Default also. Okay. And similarly, if you want to achieve this, by default, first of all, this logic will not be executed with respect to this logic. The reason is you are having three parameterized constructor, you provided three values here. But only problem is you are not following the data types format or the order of the data types. First value is expecting integer. So that's why you are given string here. Then also it will give compile time error. And if you want to achieve this line, again, what you have to do in your source code, you have to define one more constructor called as with three parameters and followed by string, followed by next one, integer, followed by double, right? So you have to follow. Finally, this is working with respect to this implementation point of view. So you guys are clear with this constructor rules now? Okay. So the same thing we are going to follow as part of setter, constructor injection. And when you are defining the constructor injection also, we have to keep all these points in our mind. Okay. So then you can easily understand the constructor injection. So let's go back to first, let's take a small example and then we will try to understand slowly one by one. And anyway, now you guys are having good knowledge of setter injection. So automatically you can understand constructor injection also. Okay, I'm defining a new package. So I'm just taking same employee class only so that it will be easy to understand. Finish. So I created a class called as employee class. Okay, let's take same properties here also. The Spring framework is located into Google Drive. Okay, and the drive link is I get provided in the material. And the material what I provided you here it is. Even I don't know why people are. Okay, let me give you the Spring link. Okay, when you're opening the material, okay, so it's for everyone because so many people are asking about the jar files. Okay, when you're going to the material, whatever I just given, the thing is instead of downloading from the Google and maybe you're misleading to some other things and all. So what I did, I just downloaded the Spring jar file and I uploaded into Google Drive and I provided that link in the here. So if you observe here, now download Spring libraries. So I have uploaded copy of all Spring jar files into Google Drive. You can download from this link. Only thing is, it's not a secured link. It's a just open link only. You just copy paste this link. Just copy paste into a browser, then it will show you a zip file. Just download it into your computer, then extract it. Then you will get all the jar files. Is it clear? So many people are struggling with these things. So this is the link. So even I'm opening in incognito mode. So see here, it's showing a zip file. Only thing is you just need to download it. Okay. So once you are downloading, you just extract it. Then you will see all the .jar files, what we are using in the project. Is that clear, Madhavi? Private string name. Okay. Private something double salary. First, let's take a small example only. Now, I'm defining setter getters for this. Now, my first point is here we are trying to achieve what dependency injection? Constructor injection we are trying to achieve here. So, as per our core Java point of view, whatever we understood points now. So, whenever E4 object is created in the memory, then how things will happen, guys? Come back to the Java point of view again. Assume this line is getting executed successfully with respect to this implementation. Then what are the values available in the memory level? ID equal to 100. Okay, name equal to Dilip. And salary is equal to the 555555 value will be available, right? So this is how the values will be created in the employee 4 object in your JVM memory level, right? So these values are injected at what time in our Java point of view, whatever the knowledge we have now, while object creation, when object is creating, then itself the JVM is passing these values, the constructor argument values to the instance variables, right? When object creation or after object creation. When object is getting created, at the same time itself, it will try to, configuring argument values as part of the instance variable names. This is what happening with respect to constructor execution or not in Java language, right? So in Java point of view, it's always providing values when object is getting created. During object creation, the values are assigned to the instance variables from the constructor argument values. This is what happening, right? Is that true or not? Okay, fine. So let's understand. Now, when I'm talking about the constructor injection here, okay, so when you're talking about the constructor injection, so and I given one point already, constructor injection is nothing but what? Values are injected, okay, via constructors. Now tell me, if I want to inject these three values, ID, name, salary into employee object with the help of constructor, so I need, okay, so this class is enough, whatever the implementation, whatever the logic I written as of now, is it enough? No. For example, what I'm doing, I'm writing setter methods here. Okay, setter and getter methods are written. Now tell me, is this class is enough to achieve the constructor injection? No, because the constructor injection itself is telling like the values are injected via constructor, but we don't have any constructor. So that means we cannot achieve constructor injection with respect to employee point of view. So now let's take, I'm writing a constructor, default constructor. Okay, so now can I achieve constructor injection with this current implementation? Yes. No is the correct answer. Yes, in the sense. Okay, default constructor. So with this, even think in our regular Java point of view, can we pass values to the ID and name and salary when object is creating? So I given, okay, so in Java point of view, you want to pass values ID and name and salary when object is created. So what you will do in Java point of view immediately? You will define one more constructor. You will define one more constructor with the properties of all three. So your requirement is demanding all three properties. So then what you will do? 3 parameterized constructor you will define, right? Okay, so let's write down a constructor also. From source I can generate. Okay, now tell me, can I achieve constructor injection by using this employee class or not? Even think in Java point of view only, if I want to initialize values for these three properties while object creation, during object creation, so this logic is enough or not? Yes. So simply now whatever the line you written here, okay, it will be executed and finally you can see in object level values are 100, Dilip and 5555, all these values, you can, those values are available in the object point of view, right? But with respect to, so this is all about our Java regular stuff. But if I want to achieve the object creation as a bean object creation, and these values, whatever I'm expecting here, those values should be injected by Spring Framework with the concept called as constructor injection. So then how we are going to configure in the XML point of view, let's take. So I'm taking one more XML separately. Spring dependency injection constructor. .xml. You can take any file name. Okay, so here let me copy paste this template also. And one important thing I will try to give you guys, few people are facing problems. Okay. So whenever you are creating Java project, generally we are setting up project. How what? We are clicking on the create new Java project, right? So few people, maybe it is by default selected or maybe, okay. So whatever it is, observe here, you have an option called as create module -info.java file. If it is, okay, enabled like this, checked it, then please uncheck it. Okay, then create your project, then add your jar files. Otherwise, what is happening? Okay, the module-info.java is a new feature came into the latest Java versions. For that, you have to take some extra activities with respect to the core Java point of view. Okay, it's all core Java stuff. But only thing is, if you don't want to get any problems, so what's happening? Even though you are attaching jar files in the class path, when you return the bean factory or application context, all these things, you can see the red lines below. Right? The reason is because of this module-info.java file. So whenever you are creating projects going further, don't select this option. Observe it. Even at that point also I given in the material. Okay, so that is also I given here. Only thing is little bit observation in the material is enough sometimes if you want to fix your issues. You don't need to come back. Okay. So I given that information also here. You just need to make sure like this. But anyway, so don't create because few people I can see, maybe it's not your wish. I mean, it's not your problem because you are not aware of it. So whatever it is, you're not checking, you're just clicking on that. If it is checked, please make sure unchecked always. Okay, then create the project, then you will not get any, okay, compile time errors point of view. Even though jar files are there in the project, still you are seeing some compile time problems or red lines. Okay, this file is not existed, something like that. The reason is this because of this module-info.java file. It's all about some packages related concept. And that too, it's all core Java feature. Don't worry about it. So please unselect this. Then a lot of problems will be resolved. Bean fact definition storing function. So by seeing error, I cannot give you answer, Hari Krishna. If you have time, try to send me an email, okay, with your source code. Then I will try to see. Okay. Okay. So let's come back to the bean creation for the what? Employee class. Okay, let me create. Before that, I will do one thing. Now, with respect to this employee class, how many constructors I have? Only one constructor I have. 3 parameterized constructor, right? 3 parameters constructor I have. Do you default constructor is available? No. So compiler is going to add? No. So fine. Now let's come back to the here. Let me create bean object for the. So here creating bean object is same, whether it is a setter or constructor. So let me give employee 1 and class equal to the qualified class name. So let's give package name first. Package name dot employee. Okay. So here I just given only bin declaration like this. Now let me write down main method also. I mean, okay, now tell me if I created container object here, application context equal to new file system XML application context, and just pass your XML file here. Okay, so I just passed same concept, everything is fine. Now in this case, if I'm executed this line generally, okay, so let's come back. Generally, you know that whenever this line is executed internally, every bean object will be created or not? Yes. So if I'm executing this one and only line, and with respect to this XML file, then container will be created and container will go to the XML file and it will try to create object for what? Employee class. Now, is it going to happen or is it going to face any problem? So what is that? No default constructor. So why you need default constructor? Because in between the bean configuration, you are not defined constructor arguments or constructor injection. So that's why by default, when you given like this, it will always expect a default constructor. So let's see here. So what happened? It is unable to create the exception because the reason is the default constructor is no default constructor found. Okay, same even in core Java point of view also you said it's not possible. The reason is there is no default constructor. So same thing even Spring point of view. But when now let's come back and inject the values, constructor injection configuration. So see here how I'm configuring. Now at the same time, my employee class is eligible for the setter injection. The question here it is. Now can I perform setter injection with respect to employee? No, the reason is it doesn't contains any default constructor. Okay, because I have only one constructor right now, parameterizer constructor. Okay, so let's come back here. So how to configure values with respect to constructor injection? Here it is. You have to use a tag called as constructor argument tag. Okay, whenever you are using constructor argument tag, then container will understand whatever the values you are going to configure as part of the constructor argument, those values has to be injected while object creation, during object creation. So that is the meaning of constructor injection. Here it is. So how container is differentiating the values has to be injected via setters or constructor based on the tag what we provided, based on the configuration of tag what we given in the bean. So based on that, container is deciding whether it is a constructor injection or setter injection. Now, what are the properties we have here? Let's see here. Go to the employee, and this is the constructor you define, right? Okay, so this is how you define the constructor, right? So what is the name of constructor here? I mean ID. So I mean constructor, how many constructor arguments? Total 3 constructor arguments. First one is ID, second one is name, third one is salary. And with respect to our Java point of view, what is the difference between these two lines? Why first one is failing, why second one is failing? Second one is working. The order of the all values what you are passing is the difference. Here also 3, here also 3. Only thing is the order you mismatch, you changed the order. So the data types order is getting changed. That's why this line is not executing, it is giving compile time problem. So that means what is the rule you understood between these two lines? Order is very important when you are passing the constructor argument values, right, in Java point of view. Similarly here also, when you are defining the constructor arguments, you have to define values based on the order what you taken in the constructor level. So how many parameters you have? First and foremost, 3 parameters you have. So can I pass only one constructor argument? Think in Java point of view only. So can I pass only one? No. Can I pass 2? No. So that means similarly when it comes to the constructor injection, it's mandatory to pass all constructor argument values, that too in an order of constructor arguments available. So total how many constructor arguments you have? Total 3. So total how many you have to take in this case? 3 constructor arguments you have to take. And what about the values here? So here the first position, second position, third position you are having, right? So what you can do here it is, so the Spring framework defined an attribute called as value attribute directly. You don't need to give what? The name of the constructor argument, you don't need to give. So there is no option for the name also. But what it is expecting is whatever you given first one, that will move to the first position. Whatever you given in the second constructor argument, that will go to the second position. Whatever you given in the third position value, that will move to the third position. Internally, Spring container will call, okay, employee of value, comma, second value, comma, third value. Like that, it will execute the constructor internally. So the order of constructor arguments is very important if you are going with this approach. Let me give values here. I'm giving employee ID as 100. Okay, and similarly next value, I'm giving second value name. So I'm giving a name here. Fine. And I'm going to give third value also here. What is that value? Double value. Just give the double value something here. Okay. So you given some value like this. Okay. So let's try to execute the same logic what you given earlier. Okay. Now what it will try to do? Internally, we will try to understand. Let's do one thing. I'll write on a small line here. Sys out so that we can understand. Employee 3 params constructor. Constructor executed in the sense, definitely the values are injected. That's the point here it is. And what I will try to do, I would like to make sure, in this case, setter methods are important. To inject the values into object level, setter methods are important, not important. So even I will write down that lines also. You cannot see this in the output, and after that I will delete also once we are making example. Even you can delete the setter methods, but I'm keeping for time being, and we will delete, and then we will understand really important or not. Okay, so I just written sysouts here. Who is this Muni Sai Kumar? You don't know why super is there? Then go and join the core Java. Okay. Please, when you're asking the doubts, make sure it is related to Spring. I can answer anything. Even I spend my personal time, even if I don't know, I'll spend my time and I will try to explain. But if you're asking like, why super here? Why super here? It's all core Java things. You have to call super class constructor. Can I move this line? Next lines in this place? See, compile time error. These are all the rules you have to know by the core Java itself. And people are asking why you kept super. It's not Spring concept. It's core Java concept. Then if you are not good with core Java, just join the core Java and then come back to the Spring. And if you're asking like why you written sys out also, I cannot answer. Okay, I'm making more internally what is happening. That's why I'm writing all these things. Okay, because if you're not writing this, it is executed in the background, but we cannot see with our eyes. But whenever we return this line, at least that line will be printed in the console. Then we can realize, okay, container framework internally executed this constructor because of this sysout. So that's why when you are practicing also, don't be lazy. Try to write down as much as sysouts in your methods level. Then you will see the sequence of the sysouts. Based on that, internally, the execution is happened. Then your understanding will be more and more. Okay, so now let me create what will happen whenever this line is executed. So let me give you a small overview internally. So this you have created, we given like this. And whenever this line is executed immediately, container, internally Spring container object will be created and container will try to go to this XML file. And what is the content you written in the XML file? This is what you written. Okay, this is the content of XML file. Okay, fine. And now internally what will happen with respect to this? A container will be invoked and container will go to the XML file and it will try to see how many beans you configured. How many beans? Only one bean we configured this time. And as well as immediately what it will try to see, these guys are doing any configuration related to setter injection or constructor injection. So now internal it is understanding like constructor injection. Why? Because we given constructor arguments this time, then container is trying to perform constructor injection. Then immediately it will identify how many constructor arguments you given. Total 3 constructor arguments you given. So that means internally it will verify in our employee class level. So whatever the employee class you return, so it will verify inside the employee class. These guys return three parameterized constructor in the employee or not. Yes, we already written it. Right? So now what it will do internally, okay, first to check is what it is doing. Container internally is 3 parameter constructor is existed or not. Okay, 3 parameterized constructor is existed or not? Yes, existed. Then what it will try to do, it will take first value of 100 and try to move it to the first position. So this is the constructor, right? We written. And similarly, okay, or else you can take like this also. This will come here. And similarly, second constructor argument, moving to the second position. Third constructor argument value moving to the third position. So that means finally, when employee E1 object is created, bean object is E1 for the class called as employee. But what are the values here? When at what time values are injected? During object creation or while object creation. So here, is it going to do something ID equal to 0 and then it is going to overridden with 100, or is it directly ID equal to 100? In our Java, same core Java point of view only. Okay, name equal to, okay, something value, okay, sorry, salary equal to, okay, the value whatever you given here, that is the value injected here. So how all these things are happening? Internally you initialize it, right? So this is what, if because of these lines, those are getting initialized, whatever the value is coming here. So finally what you're doing, this dot ID equal to ID. So that means this value will store inside the ID. Similarly, I name coming here, and this dot name is nothing but, again, this name will be moved, the value is moved to instance variable. Similarly, salary, this dot salary. So this is the constructor argument value. You guys know all these rules, right? This is the what? Current object, instance variable. So whatever the value coming here, you are initializing to the salary of instance variable as part of the objects. Totally ID equal to 100, name equal to Dilip, salary equal to 8888. All these values will be available inside the object E1. So this is what internally happening. So in this time, is it taking consideration of setter methods or constructors? Only constructor it is taking. Have I discussed anything related, a word about the setter method here? No, that means there is no need of setter methods when you want to go with the constructor injection. Okay, there is no dependency. No need in the sense, it's not mandatory. Setter method is not mandatory when you are going with the constructor injection. Okay, let's check internally the object is created or not. First of all, we need to verify now. Earlier it is failed. The reason is what we did earlier, why it is failed? Yeah, we are not written. Okay, default constructor point of view tested. Now test it. So what is this? Employee 3 parameterizer constructor is executed. Nothing but what happened? Internally, the entire process is happened. Okay, so that means this constructor is executed. This line you see in the output. So that means this constructor is executed. So when this constructor is executed, in the sense, these are all the values are injected into instance variables. Now, if you are getting E1 object from the container, how to get E1 object from the container? Same process. Context dot get bean of, okay, the bean ID is what? E1. And it is going to return always object type. You can typecast it to the actual type employee. Okay, so fine. Yeah, yes. Typecasting. Okay, so now test really the values are injected or not. Employee dot get ID, and we can write down all the things. Now, have you seen any set statements here? So that means setter methods are not mandatory when you are going with the constructor injection. Even in Java point of view also, when you written Java class and when you want to achieve this functionality, okay, are you going to write down, is it mandatory to write setters here also? No, right? Because you are injecting values via constructor. Okay, let's execute now. Get name, get salary. Okay, so execute. So what values? 100, Dilip, and all the values, whatever you configured in the XML file is available in the object or not? Okay, so is it clear until this point? Any doubts? So internally what is happening and everything, is it okay for online people also? Related to constructor injection, any doubts? Internally what is happening and all? Okay, let's make, before leaving, a small experiment and then you can understand very easily also. Now, for example, same values I'm maintaining. Only thing is, I just moved constructor argument of name, something I just given value equal to Dilip, value equal to 100, value equal to, okay, 8888, all these things. How many constructors we have in employee class? One constructor. And that too, one constructor point of view. So 3-parameter constructor we have, right? So for example, let's do one thing. First, what I will do, I will delete first this. How many constructor arguments I maintained here? 2 I maintained. But in my source code, how many parameters I have? 3. 2 is equal to 3? No. So that means in our simple Java point of view also, is this good? Even you passed ID 1, name Dilip, but you are missing third value salary. So this line is going to be executed in Java. Same thing here also. It is always expecting how many values? 3 constructor argument values, but how many values you passed? 2 values here. Now tell me, bean object will be created successfully or is it going to fail? Yes. Now see the here. Bean object creation is failed because even is getting failed, creating even bean object. The reason is answer. Did you see here? Dependency expressed through the constructor parameter 2, but actual constructor is 3 parameters. So that's why it is saying like, I have a ambiguity problem, which values has to be injected at what level. Okay, you forgot to inject something like double value something. It is just predicting like that. But finally it is saying like, you defined 3 parameterized constructor, but you provided only 2 values. Like, so that's why the dependency injection is failed. Now, okay, fine. Now what I'm doing, so is this clear now? When you are having 3 parameterized constructor, mandatorily you have to provide 3 constructor arguments. Okay. For example, if you want to keep 2 constructor arguments as it is in the XML file, and if bean object has to be created, then what is the logic you have to do again? Create one more constructor in the employee with 2 parameters. One is followed by ID, second one is followed by salary. Then this logic will be executed again. We will see those points tomorrow also. But before that, okay, I maintain 3 properties here again. 3 parameterized constructor I have in employee class, and I maintain 3 constructor arguments here. Now tell me the bean object creation is going to happen or not. The number of arguments equal to the number of XML arguments equal to the number of constructor arguments. Then why it will fail? Yes. So I told you already very clearly, it is always going to follow. Okay, first value, first position, second value, second position, like that. It will take the value injection. So now what it will try to do with respect to XML. Okay, sorry, this XML. So you have first value as Dilip. Then what it will try to do is Dilip is trying to keep in the ID level. Then you are going to get like some format exceptions, all these things. Finally, bean object creation will not happen. Run as Java application. See, again, it is failed. Even though you maintain 3 constructor arguments. The reason is unsatisfied. Again, could not convert argument value of string to integer or something. It is saying like you given string value there, but actual first constructor argument is what? Integer value. So that's why unable to convert string to integer. So it's failed bean creation object. Now you can ask one, okay, what we can ask one question. So what is the point we understood now? Always we have to maintain same constructor argument. Now if it is going to create or not? Yes, I just made Dilip a second value. Now again, everything is fine. Now if you are asking like, okay, is there any other way we can maintain in any order? 3 constructor arguments is fine, that's fine. Maintaining 3 is mandatory. But only thing is order point of view, then Spring is saying like, you can use an attribute called as index attribute. What is that? Index attribute. So if you don't want to use index attribute, then constructor argument should be in an order aligned to your source code of constructor arguments. If you don't want to maintain the order in the XML file configuration, Spring Framework is giving an option called as what? Index. So what is the meaning of index here? Yes. So simply, even though you are not maintaining an order here, you are telling like Dilip has to go to which index? With respect to constructor, second index. So in Java, generally index is all starts from the 0. So what are the value I have to give? 1 I have to give here. And 100 has to go 0. And this has to go salary means 2 you have to give. So now you give an extra information. Even though you are not maintaining the order, you give an extra information very clearly to the container. Please move Dilip into second position. Please move 100 into first position. Please move salary value into third position, like that. You given the values. Now tell me bean object is going to create it or not, even though you are not maintaining the order. Yes. See now, even though you are not maintaining any order, it is going to, even you can give now salary on top also, wherever you want, you can follow any order. Only thing is because of this index, Now container is having a clear picture which value has to move where and all. So is that clear with respect to index? So if you don't have index, if you don't want to configure index, then mandatorily you have to follow the same order what you defined in the source code level, the same order you have to define in the beans level. So you got an example of constructor injection now. So how it is happening during the internally. So what is the difference between, difference between setter and constructor? Setter injection will happen after object creation. That two setter methods are required. A default constructor is required for a class. When it comes to the constructor injection, what are the rules? Do you need default constructor? No, you need parameterized constructor. Okay, you define parameterized constructor. Then what is the rule you have to follow? When you are defining the XML file, you have to mandatorily provide all the constructor argument values, right? And at the same time, do you need setter methods to go with the constructor injection? No need. Okay, even we will test all these scenarios tomorrow also. Okay, so let's connect on tomorrow.